Welcome back to the channel. In the last episode, we actually managed to make nether stars without killing the wither. We also figured out how to extract power for free from the sun. And it appears that, similar to last episode, the vine has spread. Maybe it's attracted to the high levels of power going through the tower, I don't know. But it's still not affecting us, so let's leave it alone. In today's episode, I want to do the second glass upgrade to these sieves that we possibly can, fix this awful rock crushing system, and work through all of the ore processing diagrams that we possibly can. But before we get into it, make sure you subscribe, turn the notification bell on, and like the video. It helps out the channel, and it ensures that you stay up to date with star technology. With that all being said, let's begin. And we'll quickly begin here in our production hallway with just a few upgrades that I've done around the base in the meantime. So I have actually doubled our blast furnace productions. We now have 8 blast furnaces, all running at IV on RTM coils. We also have 2 vacuum freezers, wall sharing of course, that now run at IV. And looking further into the IV quest page, I can see 2 things that really jump out at me. The first one is Netherite, for the Netherite upgrade kit to our flux sieves. This beautiful piece of technology makes it so that we process 64 items per second. And that is a lot. So much so that for the 6 meshes required for gravel sifting, we would need to produce 384 gravel per second just to satisfy these sieves. And unfortunately, right now, we can't make the large sieve cobbleworks because we can't make pure netherite. And it's because we need an LUV chemical bath, which requires the assembly line and so on. So we're gonna have to find a different way, which, doing the math on, we aren't going to be able to sustain, unfortunately. So maybe 3 diamond upgrades is going to do. It doesn't really matter. I want to upgrade our ore processing today very badly. I also want netherite. And we're going to need netherite for Naquata ore. So, yeah. The 2 things we're going to do today are our netherite processing and our ore processing. 2 processes for the price of 1. But first, I want to upgrade visually how we do our ore processing. I want to see how much of everything we have, and I want it to be centralized. So let's build that. And as you saw in the previous segment there of our nice little building montage, here we are at our new material wall. It's pretty simply sorted. These 3 rows here are for gravel. This is for dust. This middle one is for blackstone. And this is for sand. Sand takes up the biggest and makes the most. That's why the wall is so large. And I've actually borrowed some technology that I use in my ore processing. So I'm going to explain this because I see a lot of people get confused here. This wall is connected to mainnet. Each of these storage buses has a higher priority than the disk drives and only stores 1 ore. Because this is connected to the mainnet, an interface on mainnet will be able to pull from these drawers. Hence, these interfaces. Each of these interfaces is connected to the mainnet via an AE2 connection and set to pull anything out of the interfaces into the ore processing subnet. That is how we're going to take items from the chests into the subnet and through all the ore processing. So all I have to do is set a filter here and it will automatically pull the ore out of mainnet into the ore process. So here's the plan for ore processing. Each flux sieve with 3 diamond upgrades is going to consume 64 of our items every 80 ticks. With 6 sieves, that's 384 items every 4 seconds, which is 96 items per second, which means we need 5 processing. We need 5 times that current level of processing to saturate every single one of them. That means a total of 35 machines processing this. 5 for gravel, 10 for sand, 15 for dust, and 5 for blackstone. 8.75 IV amps, which we can supply with our new power. And one of the really beautiful parts about this mod is our infinity cobblestone cell, which is going to give us 2.1 billion cobblestone and free because it's infinite. So we don't need to worry about generating cobblestone for gravel, sand, and dust. And there we are. And that's the bit limit for Minecraft, so easy peasy lemon squeezy. And in preparation for all of that, we've actually set up the crafting for 30 advanced forge hammers and 5 advanced macerators, which are going to be how we process all of our materials. And while we wait for all of that, how about we start looking at our netherite, even though we're not actually going to use it
yet.
So our end goal out of this process is going to be pure netherite dust. We are missing the LUV chemical bath here, so we're going to have to skip that one for now, but let's go back through the chain. We want to make purified dust, which is going to be chlorine trifluoride and debris dust. We'll worry about this step later. Right now, we're just going to look for debris dust. And debris dust is going to come from packaging tiny piles of debris dust, which is going to come as a 2% chance from centrifuging nether agglomeratio. Nether agglomeratio is going to come from extracting netherrack dust. No surprises to learn that netherrack dust is going to come from macerating netherrack. And netherrack is going to come from redstone and lava in a large chemical reactor. And lava we're going to get from mystical agriculture, which is probably the easiest way to do it. There's the stone barrel recipe, but it takes 10 seconds for 250 millibuckets. When we could make 5 buckets in 5 seconds. It's just better. And then the fire essence is going to come from a greenhouse. And we have all of that assembled nice and neatly in a chest, so how about we start placing it down and planning out how it's going to look. And this is how it's roughly going to look. It's pretty similar to our other nether related product there, our nether stars. So let's get this started. We need to import inferium essence and water into the greenhouse. So I've actually been having this recurring issue a lot, and it might seem really stupid, but I've been wondering why I've been having like even proportions of my ingots just not going through the blast furnace. And can you spot the problem? Well, the problem is that these interfaces aren't actually connected, so they have tons of stuff in them. And I probably haven't been voiding anything, but it's just, why am I so silly? There we go. All fixed. That's been happening for a while now, and I can't believe I missed that. So, where were we? Interface on bottom, interface on top, pump and conveyor, import, import. Set to water, set to inferium. And now the greenhouse is only ever going to craft fire essence. So we'll just auto output it into the burner. Essence burner needs circuit 0, and we'll make lava. And what we'll do is we'll just storage bus that, set to lava. And extract only, set to lava. The next one is we want to import netherrack into our macerator. So we'll set this to filter netherrack, and then we'll have it output down the bottom because it outputs gold ingots and netherrack dust. We could also centrifuge netherrack dust for coal dust, sulfur, gold, and redstone if we really wanted to. Or make it into bricks, but we don't really need that. Then we want to send our netherrack dust into the extractor. So let's give it a conveyor module, set to import, and then netherrack dust will make nether agglomeratio. So we'll just directly output that into the centrifuge. And the centrifuge is only going to centrifuge out tiny piles of debris dust. It needs circuit 1. And so we'll put a storage bus on that, set to extract only of tiny piles of nether debris. Then we'll package it into full debris dust, which is circuit 1. And we'll need to import our tiny piles. So we'll give it a conveyor, set to import. And then again, we'll do a storage bus, extract only on full debris dust. The first chemical reactor, very simple. It's going to make netherrack. By importing redstone and lava, we'll be able to make 32 netherrack. And we can just check how fast this is going to be. Because we're running it at IV, it's going to take 0.45 seconds. Not bad at all. And it's on circuit 0. And with it kind of skeletoned out now, let's get it wired up and make sure it's all working. Okay, so let's plug in our ME cable. We've got the power already set up. And let's have a look here. So, this is working just fine. Let's turn this on. Fire essence going through. Lava is being made, being imported into the large chemical reactor. That was very quick. Netherrack has been made. It's being extracted. And we are already getting tiny piles of debris. That has got to be extremely lucky that we're getting that much. This is a 2% chance. There we go. That's more like it. We already have 6. That is insane luck. So yeah, it's just the mystical greenhouse that is the slow point here. Oh, actually, it looks like it might be just fine with how slow the macerator is. So there we go. We have our netherite production. Isn't that nice? And there we go. We actually have a full debris dust. That was so incredibly painless. I'm not really sure what I was worried about. Now, there's actually 2 more refinement steps that requires tetrachloroethylene and chlorine trifluorine to get the pure netherite dust, which unlocks us the large sieve and large sieve cobbleworks modules, but those are locked behind the assembly line, so we'll worry about those later. For the meantime, let's get back to ore processing. So here's our setup for gravel ready to go. We have 5 forge hammers making 100 gravel per second. We're going to import cobblestone from the AE system, and then we're just going to use a storage bus. And because we're making at least 20 per second, we need a conveyor module that's going to be able to support that. Our usual low voltage conveyor module wouldn't be able to transfer enough. So we're going to use high voltage conveyor modules, which can transfer a stack per second. So let's just put them on. Set them to import. Set the filters for cobblestone. Connect up the power. And then the applied energistics, and they should roar to life the second we do this. No, because the storage buses have imported random things. Of course not. Nothing can be simple. There we go. They're all going now. Look at that. So there's 100 gravel per second. So let's change the recipe for our diamond upgrade to not use the microprocessor supercomputer, but to use the nanoprocessor assembly. And let's throw it in the clean room assembler just because it's faster. And here's one of the nicest features of applied energistics. We can actually use maths in here. So we can do 6 times 4 times 3 each, which is going to be 72. And we can just request that. And that actually should make pretty quickly. There isn't too much complicated about that. We actually have some in our bag as well. So let's just start putting these in and watch the speed increase. So this is the normal processing speed, doing 1 every 160 ticks. Now we do 64 every 80. Look at that. And let's do that again. Well, I made a mistake in requesting these diamond upgrades. There's actually 8 sieves, so it will be 3 times an extra 2 times 4 for the products, so that's another 24. I am not perfect. And as suspected, our way of supplying the flux sieves with the pipes mod is too slow. Luckily, I've queued up the ultimate pipe upgrades to see how fast these can go. Just one of these should fix the problem. Yep, there we go. All fixed. So just a little refresher, the gravel string mesh is going to be tin, magnetite, iron, sphalerite, and copper. And let's go have a look and see these increase. So we're looking for copper. Oh wow, we're actually already at 10k. That is a huge improvement. Lots of sphalerite. Yep, okay. So these are the processes without the upgrades, and these are the processes with the upgrades. This is a huge improvement. And the way these upgrades work as well is, rather than giving you 64 times 30% chance, so say for instance your expected value there would be around 18, you have a 30% chance at getting 64 crushed tin. So it works slightly differently than what you'd expect, but with 64 items being processed at a time, we have a 30% chance for 64 tin, 64 magnetite, and so on. Still working off percentages, but with how passive this process is, and basically how free it is, we don't really need to worry about it. And this is also why I wanted to move to the super chest system, because these can store 8 million items. And with how fast we're getting items now, we're definitely going to want a lot of bulk storage. I'm going to keep upgrading these machines as I go along, but I'm going to spare you the detail, and I'll come back when I've got more news to show you. Well, I'm actually back faster than I expected, because one ultimate pipe upgrade isn't enough. Wait, it should be. Well, I've got my maths wrong here. I did my calculations based off 6 sieves per item, not 8. To fully saturate 8 of these sieves, it's going to take 7 forge hammers, and I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to remove 2 sieves. Simple as. To be honest, we're getting ores faster than we're going to be able to process them for a very long time, so I don't think it matters that much. Alright, so let's drain the gold chest and see how quickly we generate it. And as we're slowly working through here, I do need to mention the blackstone recipe here, which is going to require blue ice and lava. And blue ice looks like it could be pretty difficult from packed ice and blah 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 blah. Now, mystical agriculture saves us again. All we need to do is essence burn some ice essence, which all we have to do is mix water and air essence. So let's do that. So water and air on circuit 3 and circuit 2 in an essence burner. So let's just do that. Beautiful blue ice. Yeah, mystical agriculture really is the way to go with some of this stuff. So be sure to look out for that when you can. And isn't this just so beautiful? We have filled out everything that we can right now except for the netherite meshes, which we can make now that we have netherite, but I think there's something else we need to do today. And it's going to start up on our solar panels. I've crafted more, so let's place some more. And now we make 2 million FE per tick. But in all seriousness, what is the extra task that I've set myself for today? Well, it goes by many names. It's the Australian Bureau of Statistics, the anti-lock braking system, and acrylonitrile butadiene styrene, or the alloy blast smelter. Did you laugh?
Please laugh.
And the alloy blast smelter itself is made of 3 components. The controller, which takes tantalum carbide plates, some circuits and some wiring. Heat vents, which take more tantalum carbide, titanium and molybdenum disilicide, and high temperature casings, which take tungsten carbide, HSLA steel, and titanium carbide. So we've got to set up a few alloys, make them in the blast furnace, and then we can request all the components. So let's do a recipe setting and request it. So recipes are set. This should be pretty simple, if we can spell it correctly. I'm going to wall share 2 ABSs, which is, doable. It's a bit of a waste, but I guess we'll figure out how it works. So we need 12 heat vents, I believe. Let's just check. 12 heat vents per minus 3. So 12, 24, 21 heat vents, which we can only make 22. That's fine. High temperature casing, we need 34. Let's just request 68. I forgot to set the recipe for titanium carbide. Recipe set, so 68 high temperature casings. We're also going to need coil blocks here, so we're going to use RTM alloy for now. So we need 24, 48 minus 6, which is 42. And then the rest of it is all easy. We don't need to request that. But we do need to request 2 controllers. And we're missing 2 advanced alloy smelters. There we are, 2 alloy blast smelters. Well, once this gets going, our blast furnaces are just going to be slammed with alloys. But it should speed up our alloy creation in the future. And more importantly, unlocks the Gregtech multiblocks. Which my favorite change of this pack is actually that the large circuit assembling facility only requires IV circuits compared to the UV circuits required in the old Gregtech pack. Which means we can parallelize our circuit crafting much earlier and make circuits much faster. And we finally have them built and crafted now. I'm sorry that I didn't show you the building montage, it really wasn't that interesting. But there is one thing that you need to make sure with your alloy blast smelters. There are a lot of different circuit conditions that you use for these, ranging from 11 to 16, which I think is 5 different circuits. So if you're going to have multiple buses on them, make sure you enable distinct buses mode. It will save you a lot of headache. And now with the unlock of our alloy blast smelters, we can look into the old Gregtech multi-blocks. And I think to finish off today's episode, let's just upgrade our ore processing. It's going to take 2 centrifuges, a sifter, a maceration tower, I believe upwards of 3 chemical bars, but we'll just focus on 1 to start with. And that looks to be about it. So let's have a look at how we make them. So for the sake of saving crafting CPUs, let's have a look at encoding all of these recipes. So the vibration safe casing is going to be used for sifting and centrifuging. And that's our Incolloy MA956, which we can craft. So we just need frame boxes, rods, and plates. And for all of these different casings, that's all we're going to need to do. Roughly speaking, that's it. And so all the recipes for the blocks should be set. A centrifuging unit takes 50 casings, so 100 in total for 2 centrifuges, which makes a thermal and a regular. And then the sifting funnel takes 63, so we need 163 vibration safe casing. Let's see if we can craft that. Not too expensive, actually. I think the biggest thing is time. 650 ingots is going to take a huge amount of time. And there's no better time to start than now. So a brief little check on the math here shows that this Incolloy is going to take about an hour and a half to smelt. So that's going to be a leave overnight job. While we're here, let's encode some recipes for the actual units. So we need the large centrifuge. We then need to be able to make the elite centrifuge, the springs, and stainless steel pipes. And let's just unfavorite some of the things that we've already made. Yep, okay. So elite centrifuge, easy to make. Springs, we can just bend a long rod, which we can already craft a long rod, so that's pretty easy. And that is on circuit 1, so good. And then huge stainless steel pipes. Not too bad. So we also now should be able to request 2 of these centrifuging units. 12 IV circuits. Yeah, nothing too crazy here. That can just chip away in the background as well. So the next one is going to be our sifting funnel. We're also going to need an elite sifter. Again, not too difficult. We'll just request a sifting funnel as well. We only need 1. Let's have a look at the maceration tower now. So we can make everything except tungsten carbide plates and the macerator. So there's that. There's the macerator. We can't make the tungsten grinding head yet either. There's tungsten carbide plates and the grinding head, which we can't make anything for it yet. Fantastic. And double vanadium steel plates. Okay, so let's get a maceration tower now. Yep, again, these aren't too challenging to make with our current tech level. And a maceration tower is going to take 67 secure maceration casings. So let's get 67. Oh, missing cobalt. Oh dear. Well, this is why we don't have any cobalt, because there's about 13,000 scheelite waiting to get processed through our current thermal centrifuge. And it's not like any of these machines are running slowly either, so this is just going to take a lot of time. But while all of this is working in the background, I think it's about that time to wrap up today's episode. We've actually managed to finally conquer the Nether without going to the Nether by automating Netherite and Nether stars over the last 2 episodes. We've also experienced a significant increase in the amount of resources that we can produce at any given time, thanks in part to giant walls of forge hammers and the determination to make things look pretty. In the next episode, we're going to be working on ore processing and making sure that our base is up to snuff, because we still have a lot of the IV quest page left to conquer, and there's still 4 more ages to go before we can finally call ourselves Gregtech Masters. And this is going to take a long time. But if that sounds enjoyable to you, and trust me, it should, then make sure you like and subscribe to keep up to date with the channel. Turn on the bell, and as always, I'll see you next time.